Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of something we're trying out here. This is something new. My name is Steve, you might know me. I used to be the cameraman and editor for stuff in here on Cross Counter. With me is my good friend Jessica. We go way back. She has a website, girlongeek.com. She covers geek culture, sci-fi, comic books, films, games, everything. So this is called We Actually Watched, which means we went through and we actually watched the stuff that you might not even know if existed. I mean, stuff that's gone lost through time and space, that just came out and disappeared in a flash like a supernova, that just vanished throughout the cosmos. We went through and we dug it up and we watched it so you guys don't have to, unless we tell you to. And today we watched, I'd say, one of the greatest prequels in cinematic history. I guess a prequel sequel, because it came out, 20 years after the first time they tried to do a Street Fighter movie?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm talking about the legendary movie, Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li. This is the origin tale of Chun-Li, everyone's favorite spinning bird kick, kicking, fireball throwing, high-pitched screaming, chunky-thighed girl from the Street Fighter series. Been there all the way since 1991, and she has her own feature flick. She's played by that girl from Smallville, Kristin Kreuk.
Yeah.
And this is her origin tale. So, it starts out, she's just this kid chilling in Hong Kong at this big luxurious house with her dad who's training her in Tai Chi and martial arts and Zen and Yin Yang and all that stuff. Until one day, their house gets assaulted in the middle of the night by evil, sinister forces. Specifically, a group of goons led by Balrog, who you guys know as the boxer from Street Fighter. And in this movie, he's played by the eternal Michael Clarke Duncan, rest in peace. These goons come in and assault the heck out of Chun-Li's poor dad. But it turns out Chun-Li's dad is quite the martial artist. He holds them off for a little bit until he eventually succumbs. Then we're introduced to Bison, who is played by a white dude. Neal McDonough comes in, strutting his stuff, wearing these nice suits, clean jawline, nice silky short cropped hair and blue eyes, just like you guys remember from the game. They assault the heck out of Chun-Li's dad and kidnap him before her young, tender eyes. Strangely, interestingly, Bison lets her go. He says, "Go back to your room. Once we're done kicking the crap out of your dad, feel free to spend the next 10 years training to get revenge on me someday." Back to the present, Chun-Li's still in Hong Kong. She's like a classically trained pianist, just like every Chinese family wants their daughter to grow up to be. But then one day she gets this mysterious scroll that we're not sure she can read.
I wonder what it says.
She takes it to a market to get it translated by this cranky lady who tells her to go to Bangkok for some reason. Oh, also, and her mom dies of like a brain tumor or something. But that's unrelated to anything. She gives up her big fancy house and her slaves and flies about 2 hours from Hong Kong into Bangkok, where she lives on the streets, with the people. She lives in the hood. And meanwhile, she's been followed and, kept tabs on by the evil Bison and the Shadow Lu group, who are the guys pulling the strings. And then it turns out the dad is alive. He's just being held in this really upscale prison cell so that he could do some kind of computer, cyber, software hacking
connections
work for him.
thing.
Yeah, maybe like he hired him to make like the Bangkok version of Facebook. He's like, you sit there, you make Facebook for me. But Bison's nice enough to keep sending him updates on his daughter and these really nice, PowerPoint slideshow things. Meanwhile, while this is happening, there's this other guy, Charlie Nash, who's this badass cop with like a chip on his shoulder and greasy hair. And he's played by Klein, who's also known as that dude from the American Pie movies. So he comes in and he's also looking for Bison. He teams up with this girl who has great cleavage, but she's not from the game. So Chun-Li is wandering.
She ends up fighting a bunch of people that she felt was injustice in the street, in an alley more like, and then she ends up being obviously hurt. She ends up being rescued by Jen,
who's played by Liu Kang in this movie. Robin Chow, shoutouts to Robin Chow, one of my childhood favorites. Who's like training her in like kung fu and wire fighting and making fireballs glow out of your hands. So eventually she's all trained And he's like, all right, this is the guy you're looking for. He runs Shadow Lao and stuff. She goes to this internet cafe one day and she Googles up like Shadow Lao and she finds this lady that works for Bison. So her plan is to follow this lady. So unnamed lady goes to this nightclub one night and she's totally scoping out the tail. Like this lady wants the trim, if you know what I mean. This lady's into the ladies, is this lady. So Chun-Li sees this. They proceed to engage in some type of dance-off mating ritual. They're like coordinated peacocks. They circle each other, they do these weird things with their shoulders, but they're not really dancing, they're just kind of like keeping straight posture and eyeing each other. And eventually this leads to a steamy, dripping wet cat fight in the women's room. So Chun-Li makes it out of that. She goes to a stripper's room and beats up some more hired goons who are trying to shoot at her. That's when she sees Nash for the first time.
Then there was a whole scene where you find out earlier from what Bison's background is.
That's right, then you get Bison's origin story where you find out that in this movie he has the power to give women psycho cesarean sections with just his hands. Just like in the game, Chun-Li is chilling at Gen's house and she goes to get groceries. Clarke Duncan shows up and fires a rocket launcher and blows up Gen's house and Gen's like totally dead. Bison and Balrog are talking about their sinister plans and they're like, you know, this little girl of that dude that we kidnapped is grown up now and she's coming after you. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna send my best guy after him. I'm gonna send Vega, who's the guy from the Black Eyed Peas, who's not the prettiest guy, but you know, he has the masks and he has like one set of Wolverine claws. So they fight and Chun-Li pretty much creams him without much trouble. Chun-Li somehow gets captured by Bison and his goons. She's taken to his headquarters where she's reunited with her dad. Then he gets his neck snapped by Bison in front of her. She escapes, she runs through the streets, the people of Thailand help her, and then she gets shot in the arm and she runs off. Gen's alive, and then he heals her with some mystical Tai Chi. It all leads up to the final epic confrontation on this boat where Bison, throughout the whole movie, has been waiting for this mysterious shipment of something called the White Rose, which turns out to be his white daughter named Rose. All the forces converge, you know, you have Charlie Nash and the girl with the cleavage shows up with all these cops at the boat, and then Chun-Li's also there with Gen and everyone's there to throw down. And then Gen totally messes up Balrog, gets frozen with some carbon dioxide, monoxide gas pipe by Gen, which is totally not yin yang of him. totally not
I didn't
cool.
think about that.
She takes on Bison, she beats him up, and he beats her up, and she beats him up. And during the epic confrontation with Bison, she channels all her chi and her estrogen and protein bars into one big raging fireball and knocks Bison off this platform where he lands crookedly on his back, and then she goes and breaks his neck with her legs in a real gruesome way. All the bad guys are beaten. Chun-Li goes back to her crib in Hong Kong to do more Tai Chi and to have sad memories about her parents and stuff, and that's the movie. Oh, and then at the very end, you know, Gen throws in this line about, hey, you know, check it out, there's this street fighting tournament popping up and you should totally sign up for it. You know, there's this guy, I think his name is like
Ryu something? I hear he's a force to be reckoned with.
And it's like, reference, and then credits, and that's the movie. So Jessica, what were your favorite things about this movie?
I really like the fact that they did not want us to forget that light blue is her color. Other than a few moments where she wears black in the night, you know, to be more sneaky, it's not like a subtle, like light blue or a dark blue. It's a bright blue, like,
It's
just like the
trendy.
Chi Pao, like, blue that she wears inside of the video game.
Yeah, it's dead on, and there's that part where when she has the hair buns in the nightclub, that's from the
Yes.
video game, but that's the only time she has it.
And as a little girl,
Oh yeah.
where she
yeah.
was much more Asian,
Yeah,
and then
she-
she grew up to be really Kristin
Mixed.
Kreuk.
Yeah.
I do enjoy, I like references, so I did like the fact that they did mention Ryu at the end. Like, I know to some people it was tacky, But to me, I really liked it, even if it's just a mention of a name. I did really like the weird peacock dance they were doing with their hips during the thing, because I've never seen people dance like that, regardless of what your sexual orientation is. I have not seen that ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
That was definitely a movie dance moment, like something out of You Got Served, where it's like, you wouldn't see that in a club, but you know, it makes sense in the context of cinema.
Nash delivers his line like David Caruso.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Steve because I'm trying to figure out why that feels so familiar, but you also said anime style.
Yeah,
like when they do the English dubbing.
Bison's attaché loves hitting the nightlife, and I want to see what she's up to. I've tracked him through 11 major cities on 4 continents and never come close, not once. And I love this job.
Yeah, it was very stilted, like a guy who's doing dubbing on like an anime in English.
You just inherited a big problem.
I liked the reference they threw into the spinning bird cake when she finally does it in the club, that it gets to a point she's surrounded by 4 goons, and it's like the only
In a private stripper room.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the only thing she could do is flip upside down and spin her legs in choppy slow motion to really, you know, accentuate the fact like, oh, hey guys, here you go. Here's that one thing she's doing. And also the fireball that she takes about like 2 minutes to do to summon up the chi. And she has like no emotion on her face. You could tell when they're shooting it, there's a little bit like, okay, just wave your arms. Keep going until we tell you to stop. We'll fix it all in post. She's like, okay, tell me when to stop. She's just like for like 2 minutes, and then just like gets brighter and brighter. But there's no like, I don't know.
They didn't give too much emphasis on her thighs, which
Oh.
I did like, because I know people like as fanboys and fangirls, we're very much, you know, we want things to stick to the original. But in real life, there's no one, I mean, other than those that do the Arnold Fitness, would have legs that thick without their upper body being that thick. And I know some people complained afterwards. Yes, I paid to see this in theater. This is my second time seeing it.
Oof.
However, people come out going, her thighs weren't even that big. And I was like, well, you can't do that. They were they didn't try to, I mean, other than short shorts she was wearing in the streets of Bangkok, they didn't try to give her a dress with a huge upper thigh. They didn't do any of that.
I was really hoping for some chunky thighs, because that's like one of the best parts of the game, if you use her, to me. But, you know, whatever. You can't ask for everything. I mean, they could have like just CGI'd some thighs. Just CGI'd some like humongous thighs. Or like, you know, like the Avengers, they made the Hulk. Just like that, but just like lower body. Just like, I guess they didn't have the budget, you know. Oh well.
No.
Who do you feel the most sorry for in this film?
Klein. Because I kind of feel like he's forever going through post Katie Holmes, and his career has actually not been the same. Maybe it's coincidence, or maybe because he just can't get any roles because hundreds of actors will audition for the same role. But he seemed like he really needed this role, and he delivered his lines like he really needed to deliver his lines.
That's true. He delivered his lines like he was hungry. Like he was literally hungry, and he was like, God, just give me my paycheck already. Man, how long is this shoot gonna take, man? I need my $500. Before I go into who I felt bad for, I want to give a shout out to Michael Clarke Duncan, you know, rest in peace. Because in this movie, even though I think he knew the type of thing he was getting into, but he gave it his all. You know, he chewed up every scene with a big grin on his face. He was relishing in being evil and just doing vicious things to people, even though he didn't even get to punch anyone, even though he's supposed to be a boxer. He did everything with a smile on his face, and he was loving every moment. And you know, I appreciate that in an actor. I don't care how you know, low grade the movie is. You know, he gave it 120%. I feel sorry for Bison, aka Neal McDonough. Because I could have sworn, it felt like yesterday when I saw that guy in Minority Report, and I think he was
Justified recently.
Yeah, I think he was in Band of Brothers, and you could tell this is just one of those things. He was like, ooh, cool, like a co-lead part. Okay, cool, and I get to play a pretty big character. Okay, cool, and then it was just, this is probably a dip in his career, him taking this role. Would you recommend this movie to anybody? in a good or bad way?
I would only recommend this movie to Kristin Kreuk fans. I don't know if this is the movie for people who really love the Capcom game, to be honest. Because I played the game, but I didn't feel like there was enough for me as the part of me that is the gamer part. Other than the bird spinning kick in slow-mo, I don't know if CGI went into it, visual effects. But other than that, there's not really much of what you would be used to playing the game. So I would only recommend it to fans of hers.
I would recommend this. Yeah. I guess I just can't recommend this film. I guess it's one of those films that's just, it's not good enough to want to watch legitimately, but it's not bad enough that there's enough to laugh at. It's just there. Like, there are some cool parts, and then there's a lot of stuff that you're gonna forget about 6 minutes after you saw it, like me. Or like you, because you saw it in the theater and you were like, wow, I totally forgot about 90% of this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the first episode of We Actually Watched. We watched The Legend of Chun-Li Street Fighter prequel sequel, and we'll be back next time with another riveting movie review for you guys. Again, my name is Steve. This is Jessica.
Hi.
GirlOnGeek.com.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time.